Norman Berry, Gypsy Boy Productions, Why I Became a Filmmaker, Take One. Had to get theatrical on that one, people. All right, good evening, beautiful people. How's everybody doing out there tonight? This is your boy, Norman L. Berry, you know, actor, writer, and now film student at the Los Angeles Film School, soon to be a bona fide film director. Can you dig it? Well, welcome to my little sanctum here. As you can see, I got the incense burning, got the candles going. I'm really invoking the spirit tonight, man. But yeah, this is just an overview of who I am, where I come from, and why I have always wanted to be a film director or a filmmaker, because to me, there is a difference between a director and a filmmaker, And I'm very grateful to be doing this, you guys, and I'm going to be posting this to my Gypsy Boy Productions YouTube channel, and you guys can get a better idea of what's going on up in here, what makes Norman Berry tick, my likes, my dislikes, especially when it comes to films. I'm an artistic guy, man, first and foremost. I love anything dealing with the arts, you know. Ever since I was 5 years old, I always wanted to be a director. I was always in front of the television or I was always at the movies. My family is a movie-going family. We're the kind of people that like to go to movies on Friday, which is the first day that a movie premieres. The day that a movie comes out on a Friday, we are there. And I have been doing that ever since, man, And I was basically an only child growing up, so I had a lot of time to pretend and a lot of time to escape from things that were going on around me, man, because I'm born and bred in Cleveland, Ohio, man, the 216 loud and proud, And I grew up in the aftermath of the Glenville riots of 1968. And that's another topic right there. So basically, I'm from the inner city, man. I'm from the concrete jungle, man. Cuyahoga County ain't no joke, still to this day. So my escape were always movies, films, things like that, I always was in front of the TV set to block things out. I love stories, man. I love, that kind of stuff. But basically what I want to get into is the kind of movies that drive and motivate me. I'm old school, man. I grew up in the so-called blaxploitation era. I grew up where there was black folks on the screen, kicking ass, taking names, excuse my language. But yeah, I grew up in a time when we started having black heroes and heroines on the screen that wasn't taking no crap from nobody, man. But one thing about those movies, for some reason, we were always fighting the mob. You dig? The mob was always trying to take control of the ghetto. And we always had some cat that had just came back from Vietnam that had all these special kung fu skills and knew how to do all this stuff, and they knew they were good with guns. They were always on point with the ladies, So I grew up in that era with those kind of images. I grew up around pimps. I grew up around hustlers. I grew up around degenerates, man. People that was out there scrounging to strive and survive and stay alive on 105 where I grew up at, man, So there were 3 movie theaters in my neighborhood. I grew up in the Glenville area. These movie theaters were our escape from reality, man. Number one for me was the Standard Theater on Prospect in Cleveland. I used to cut school to go see movies at the Standard, man, for real. And it was the only place that I could get into under 17 to see an R-rated movie. Because for real, they didn't care. If you had the money, man, you can go in there and see an R-rated movie, man, and you could pay $2.50 back in the 80s and see 3 movies for $2.50. It went up to 5 later, but dig this, man. Can you imagine being able to sit in a theater for 6 hours for $5? Yeah, So the Standard, man, was my go-to place, man. I love the Standard, man. I saw a lot of movies at the Standard, man. Hell, I saw Exterminator 2. I saw Superman 2. I saw Penitentiary 3. I saw a lot of B movies, a lot of old school horror movies from the 60s and the 70s. That era really, really motivated me, man, because we had heroes on the screen. Well, they were heroes to me, man. Like cats like Max Julian, Ron O'Neal, Fred the Hammer Williamson, Jim Brown, Jim Kelly, Tamara Dobson, the legendary Pam Grier, and so forth. I can go on. you know. So I was spoon fed all these movies throughout my life, man. Um, when I first saw Richard Roundtree in Shaft, 1971, not that Sam Jackson crap. I'm talking about Shaft, directed by Gordon Parks. And the opening scene, when Richard Roundtree came up out the subway, and you saw in big red bold letters, Shaft. And then his head was on there, it said, boom, boom. And then when it got boom, wow, boom, wow, boom, wow, boom. And then Richard Roundtree's head was like 50 feet tall, man. And I said, damn. And then he had on the leather coat. He was just strutting. And then if you notice, if you watch Shaft, man, he's walking in beat to the music. You know, he's walking in beat in cadence with the music. Dun, 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 dun. He's walking like that, you know, and he's in perfect time with the music, man. You know, and then when I saw Slaughter with Jim Brown in it, and I saw Black Caesar and Black Belt Jones and Superfly, the Mac, Truck Turner. Man, I can go on, man. Foxy Brown, Coffee, come on, man. Cleopatra Jones, oh Lord, yeah, for real. But yeah, I love blaxploitation movies, man. Straight up, real talk, square bills on that. I also love kung fu movies. I love martial arts movies because I love the choreography. I love the choreography and I love the sound effects, man. Because I'm gonna tell you one thing, man. I'm a bona fide die hard Bruce Lee fan, man. Ain't nothing about Bruce Lee that I do not know. And he's a very important part of my life for personal reasons as well. I'll share those with you later on down the line. But I remember Bruce Lee has, there is a great love and affinity for Bruce Lee in the black community because Bruce Lee fought for minorities in his films and he fought against the injustice in his films, particularly in Fist of Fury. You know, when I was 8 years old in my grandmother's bedroom and I saw a scene from Fist of Fury when Bruce Lee kicked the hell out of that entire karate school. You can imagine being a 7-year-old kid going on 8 years old, just looking at that like, and then that was it for me. And see, what was so also important to me at that time was 1980 when I first saw that. That was the first time I had ever seen what Bruce Lee looked like because I had been hearing about him. We talked about Bruce Lee in the playground. Bruce Lee this, Bruce Lee that. I'm like, what the dude look like? You know? And when I saw that, man, I'm telling you, that was the first time in my life that I had ever seen that kind of martial arts in my life, man. And I looked at that and I was like, how can I learn how to do that? And I signed up and jumped into the first dojo I could find, man. I started studying Taekwondo in 1980. My first sensei was really my Uncle Michael. You know, Michael Berry, you know, may he rest in peace. My Uncle Michael was my hero. And I'm not going to go into all that, you know, because I get choked up when I think about my uncle. But I started taking Taekwondo at Corey Recreation Center on 105th and Drexel. I was living on Somerset at that time. And I was trained under a teacher named Michael Reese and Eddie Hawk Williams. Those were my first two teachers in a dojo. Uncle Michael taught me on his own. You know, I go to New York. We put on our gis. We go do katas in Central Park and things like that. You know, Uncle Michael was that dude, man. He was that guy, and he still is that guy because I still got Uncle Michael right here. And I ain't gonna, that's all I'm gonna say about that. So yeah, I love martial arts movies. I also love Westerns. And my favorite director in particular, when it comes to the Western genre, is Sam Peckinpah. The reason I like Sam Peckinpah is because Sam Peckinpah showed the West for what it really was. He didn't romanticize it like the old John Wayne movies. Everybody was walking down Main Street and everybody was clean, you know. And you saw no you saw no horse manure on the streets or nothing like that. Sam Peckinpah's West was dirty, gritty, it was down by law, and it was real. I mean, his West was truly a land of the lawless because Sam Peckinpah came along and at a time when John Ford and those guys were fading out. You know, they were getting old, retired and stuff like that, you know. And Sam Peckinpah, in my opinion, was a logical successor to John Ford to take the Western to the next step, not revisit what had already been done. And he killed people on screen the way they were supposed to be killed, and they died the way they were supposed to die in Westerns. When I saw The Wild Bunch, the 1969 movie The Wild Bunch, I had never seen that climactic shootout at the end of that movie, man. I have never seen so much blood in a movie like that, man. I mean, it was just all blood and guts, and it was just straight real. Now Sam Peckinpah wasn't no saint. We all know that. They called him Bloody Sam because of that shootout in the Wild Bunch, and everybody thought that he was bloodthirsty because of his honest depictions of the West. Excuse me. But yeah, to me, Sam Peckinpah was the real deal when it came to westerns, and he didn't sugarcoat anything in his movies. Like in a typical John Wayne movie, you got the bad guy on one side of Main Street, and you got the good guy in white. You got the guy in black on one side, you got the guy in white on one side, and they meeting in the middle of Main Street at high noon, and they have a shootout. Bam. The guy with the white hat on shoots the bad guy and saves the day and gets the girl, and then the credits roll. Not it was Sam Peckinpah, man. No, no, no. When Sam Peckinpah did something like that, if he had a shootout down Main Street at high noon and the good guy shot and killed the bad guy, check this out. The movie wouldn't end like that. What happens is, okay, yeah, the Undertaker comes and takes the body and puts it in a pine box, but here's the hit. The Undertaker digs the gold out of the bad guy's teeth before he buries him. That's Sam Peckinpah right there, for real. And he did it in the shadow of the town church. That's real, But yeah, I love Sam Peckinpah. I also love Japanese films. My favorite director is Akira Kurosawa. And Akira Kurosawa, in my opinion, is the most imitated director in the history of cinema. Okay? He is the most imitated. The most imitated. I told these people not to disturb me. I'm busy. So I'm going to have to go ahead and mute this real quick. I don't understand, man. Some of these people be dinging in and they don't be saying nothing. They just want to talk. They act like, some of these folks act like they're going to die if they don't speak to me. But hey, I'm not saying I'm all that. But come on, man. I'm driven by purpose and not distracted by pleasure. Don't miss that piece. Take care of business first, then screw around later. Yeah. But yeah, I love Japanese films. I love Japanese Yakuza films. Seijun Suzuki is one of my favorite directors. Tokyo Drifter, Branded to Kill, And yeah, I love Akira Kurosawa, man, because yeah, Akira Kurosawa really was something in cinema, man. I mean, come on, man, he's the most imitated director. The Hidden Forest became Star Wars Episode 4. Spielberg saw that movie. I mean, Star Wars Episode 4 was nothing basically, it was basically the Hidden Fortress that Akira Kurosawa directed in the 50s. Yeah. The Magnificent Seven ain't nothing but Seven Samurai. Fistful of Dollars ain't nothing but Yojimbo. I mean, everybody was ripping Akira Kurosawa off, and they didn't even pay the man. He had to come back years later. Akira Kurosawa had to come back and sue these cats. And yeah. One thing I love about Japanese movies, I like to watch them. I don't like to watch dubbed Asian films. I like to watch them in the original language without subtitles. That way, that's my way to help me understand what's going on better in the film. Yeah, so I might be a little bit of a weirdo on that one, but it is what it is. I am who I am. I am what God made me, and I'm unashamed. I'm unapologetic for it, and I'm unashamedly outward, man. I'm proud to be a weirdo. I'm proud to be a part of the Black Nerd Network. Yeah, and yeah, so yeah, yeah. So getting to that, I was always considered unusual. I stood out in my neighborhood. I got picked on. I got bullied a lot. And my only solace were movies. My escape from being picked on, when I lived on East 88th and St. Clair, man, they said, oh, there go Norman, a little curly-headed little punk, So I was always singled out because my mindset was different from my peers because I grew up with some badass kids, A lot of those people are grandparents to this day, and they don't remember all this stuff they did to me. I'm not holding on to it, but all those experiences from those people on East 88th made me who I am today. And I became a survivor, and I became strong for it. Because that which does not kill us makes us stronger. Friedrich Nietzsche said that, Yeah. So I love foreign films. I love avant-garde cinema. And yeah, I like experimental films. Nobuhiko Obayashi, Japanese director who directed the 1977 film House or Hausu. I love that film, you know. And all these films I'm recommending to you guys, or I'm talking about, I suggest you go check them out, man. Because I like to talk about films you know, films you don't know, and films that I think you should know. Can you dig it? Yeah. So yeah, Hausu is a good movie by Nobuhiko Obayashi. On YouTube, he has an experimental film that he did in 1966 called Emotion. Emotion is very good, man. If you're into that, I love it. And I love Ingmar Bergman, The Seventh Seal. Things like that. Federico Fellini, Roma, Satyricon, and La Strada, and so forth. So I'm really not really rooted. I love Hollywood films, yeah, but Hollywood has kind of, I don't know. They're in a reboot stage right now. Everything is being rebooted right now, and right now Hollywood is lacking originality. You know, it's lacking creativity. It's lacking artistic integrity, in my opinion. But I can't badmouth it too much because I want to work in that industry because I'm studying digital filmmaking at the Los Angeles Film School right now. So I don't want to burn any bridges or rock the boat too soon because I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. You know. I don't want to anger the gatekeepers right now. And there was a time when doors were locked to black filmmakers, man. I mean, even Oscar Micheaux. Oscar Micheaux had a hard time getting films done in the 20s and 30s. And Oscar Micheaux had the first black film production company, the Lincoln Motion Picture Company. And yeah, there were a lot of black directors back then, man, that don't get their credit today, man. Oscar Micheaux, Spencer Williams, you know, there was a black filmmaker, I forgot her name, but black people have been a force in the film industry behind the camera from the jump. We didn't just jump in front of the camera with Stephen Fetchit and Willie Best and all those guys. We were on the technical side of things as well, but we had to show our films in our theaters for our people, you know? And that's just what we had to do. And we had to do those in the difficult years. Yeah. And yeah, I love a wide array of films. Yeah, I love action. I love drama, faith-based, but I love a lot of independent films, man. Sweetback's Badass Song, Melvin Van Peebles. I love what he had to go through to get that movie made. And it became the highest grossing movie of 1971, and it was the film that ushered in the blaxploitation era. You know, a black hustler beat up two crooked white cops, screwed a white chick, and got away with it. Come on, man. And then Huey Newton made that film mandatory viewing for all members of the Black Panther Party because it had that element in it, fighting the man, because Sweetback beat up two cops, ran for the border, made it into Mexico, and then told y'all he was going to come back, and he did come back. He came back in those other movies that came later, like Shaft, Superfly, The Mac, Dolomite, Rudy Ray Moore, all that. You know, Sweetback was the springboard for all of that, man. That's why Melvin Van Peebles to this day is known as the godfather of modern black cinema. So really, why did I become a filmmaker? Yeah, so I'm getting into that now. I wanted to tell my own stories based on these films that influenced me and inspired me as a kid. I wanted to do my thing and just pay homage to these heroes and heroines that didn't get their full credit due, that became infamous, and they became famous and infamous at the same time. You know, I want to make movies with some exploitation elements in it, exploding cars, pretty ladies, maybe a few butts shaking here and there, and some judo chops in there and stuff like that. Taking it to the man. Can you dig it right on? See you in the sequel. I got a few projects in the works right now, man. I'm going to talk about right now. I got a project I'm working on later on down the line entitled Blue Belt Barnes, which is a parody, if in a way, of Black Belt Jones. It's a martial arts action comedy that I'm working on developing. I've wanted to do this one for about over 25 years, but I wasn't in the right mindset at that time to bring all this stuff to fruition. I'm writing a book right now, a Western historical fiction novel entitled The Legend of Daniel Tallwalker. Um, and that I've been wanting to write that since 1992. I've got some issues going on with the publication right now. That's why it's kind of at a standstill right now. It's kind of in development hell a little bit, but I'm shopping other ideas on how I can get that thing published. Yeah, and I'm planning on doing a documentary entitled Black Leather Chrome Riders about black motorcycle gangs. And my focal point is going to be the Zulus Motorcycle Club back home in Cleveland, Ohio. Because the Zulus were my heroes. I used to see them cats ride up and down 105, man, with their colors, with the brother on the back, with the afro and the bone in his nose. I don't know what that just fascinated me, man. You know, because I feel like black motorcycle clubs have not gotten their full credit. Because here's the backstory, man. Because I got to get ready to I got to get the development going and get into the pre-production phase, but I got to develop it first, and that's with my interviews and everything like that. But black motorcycle clubs never got their credit due, because see, a lot of cats came back from Korea during the Korean War, and they came back from Vietnam, and they like to ride. A lot of these white clubs excluded these black guys who wanted to be in these clubs. A lot of motorcycle clubs were not integrated like they are now. Doors were locked to black folks in all aspects of this country. See, this generation is benefiting from the blood, sweat, and tears that my generation and the generation before me had to endure, you know, and they're taking it for granted, unfortunately. But but the cats that came back from the military and stuff like that, they couldn't get into these white clubs, so they had to form their own conclaves, their own contained units. They found solidarity there. They found brotherhood, you know. And that's just what they had to do. And the Zulus, it was one of them clubs. Also, the Omens, Rolls Royce, I think, is integrated. You know, these are all black motorcycle clubs back in Cleveland, you know. But the Zulus are my focal point in this documentary, Black Leather Chrome Riders, that I'm trying to develop right now. So I just basically wanted to become a filmmaker, man, because I want to tell stories that I feel needs to be told. I want to add my own twist to it, you know. That's why Gypsy Boy Productions, I'm wearing my company logo right here on my shirt. I got my hat on, you know. Hey, I'm a Gypsy Boy, man. I am a free-spirited, artistic human being that lives on the wind, you know. And I do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and how I want to do it. And I'm going to give it to you my way, okay? And that's the spirit that I want to incorporate into my films, you know. Because I feel like I'm traveling this world, this road alone anyway. I kind of feel like I'm Kane and Kung Fu, you know, just walking the earth, helping people here and there. And I'm going to help people with my films, you know. That's the way I look at it, man. You know, I've been living out of duffel bags for over 25 years anyway. I move around. I got that gypsy spirit, man, you know. But I'm residing in Medford, Oregon right now, but Cleveland is always going to be home. But right now, I'm in my dwelling right now. Even Superman had a fortress of solitude, you know. So this is my place to find peace. This is my sanctum, my sanctuary, you know. This is where I leave all the bullshit, excuse me, of the world outside in the world. This is why I create. This is where I come for guidance. And this is where I talk to my ancestors, right here. You know, I got my incense burning, got my candles going. I'm invoking the spirit right now. Yeah. So I really want to I've always wanted to be a film director. I started out as an actor. I've been acting since 1992. You know, I got the acting bug while I was in the military. I got cast to be an extra in the 1995 HBO film, The Tuskegee Airmen. And I got to work with Lawrence Fishburne and Cuba Gooding Jr. and Malcolm Jamal Warner, may he rest in peace, Alan Payne, Courtney Vance, Andre Brower, Mekhi Phifer, who had just finished doing Clockers at that time in 1995. You know, all these guys were just starting out. Some of them had been in the game for a little while. Alan Payne had came onto the set. He had just finished doing Vampire in Brooklyn. Lawrence Fishburne had just finished doing Higher Learning. You know, so a lot of the crew from Higher Learning were working on the Tuskegee Airmen. That film was directed by Robert Markowitz and produced by Bill Carraro. And yeah, so yeah, that was a real privilege to be in that film, and it was history too, man. It was history. Yeah. and I was still in the military. I was in the Army acting in a movie. My chain of command allowed me to take 30 days leave from Fort Sill in Lawton to drive down to Fort Chaffee in Fort Smith, Arkansas, which was 4 hours away. And I got paid being in the movie. I made $60 a day as an extra. I got $70 on Friday night for per diem, cash, you know. And I was still getting paid from being in the military for being on leave, man. So God is good, right? Yeah. I've acted in stage productions, musicals. I've done Godspell twice. I've done a chorus line twice. I was one of the first black Seymours to do Little Shop of Horrors in Cleveland at the East Cleveland Theater in 1999. I've done Pippin. I played Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar. I did Showboat, where I played the song and dance man Frank. That production was done in 2000, directed by the late, great Marsha Taylor, Dr. Marsha Taylor, you know. And I did a Nike commercial when LeBron James first got into the NBA. That was done at the Masonic Temple in Cleveland, and I got to meet Jim Chomes. I got to meet Dr. J. Shaq was in it, you know, and we were in, you know, that was cool. That was really cool. I also directed a film in the late 90s when I was a student at the Cleveland Film Society. That film has since been lost. My car got repossessed, and the film was still in the can in my trunk, and they wouldn't give it back to me. But I did a short film called The Head Game, which was a black and white film shot on a 16mm Bolex camera. And it was my urban take on the Seventh Seal. I told y'all I like Ingmar Bergman. Yeah, I got a little bit of a cold, by the way. I'm a little congested, guys, so please forgive me. But I'm going to wrap this up, man. I'm just going to let you know that Gypsy Boy Productions is on the rise. Gypsy Boy Productions is making moves. Gypsy Boy Productions is going to give you the films you know, the films you don't know, as well as the films I think you should know. Yeah. Because when it comes to filmmaking out here, some of these cats out here need an education. And with an old school cat like me, I can take them back to basics, okay? I mean, rappers are getting acting jobs left and right. Rappers are getting movie deals left and right, yeah. And that's cool. But professionally trained actors like me are getting lost in the sauce, man. We go to school for years to learn how to do this. And these cats get put in a movie because their last song was a hit. You know, to each his own. It is what it is, man. It's the nature of the beast, you know. Yeah. Like it said in that movie, Don't Be a Menace to South Central, when the little boy asked, when Lobe Dogg said to the little boy, don't you know we in this endangered species? And the little boy said, why? Because we black? He said, no, because all the rappers are getting the good acting jobs. Yep. You know. But for the most part, man, I gotta give props to Ice Cube, man. Ice Cube is my favorite rapper from the West Coast, and he has proven to be a damn good actor. I would love to work with Q Vision one day, man. You know, for real. You know, I got some ideas swimming up in here, man, that I really would like to share and contribute to the film going audience out there, man. Because, yeah, it's all well and good that, yeah, we all want to make money doing this, man. It's all about putting bucks in the buckets and asses in the seats, because you want to make a good product that people are going to pay to see. Yeah. So sometimes artistic creativity ain't going to pay the bills. If you're so busy making statements about making statements in your films, you're gonna have a divided audience. You're gonna have an art house crowd and a mainstream crowd. So, you know, I want to be able to do both. I'm an artsy director, art house type director. I want to do artistic avant-garde stuff, off the wall, you know, sometimes kind of offbeat. And of course, I want to do things that bring people in, man. That, you know, that brings in good box office. You know, I mean, everything's going to streaming now, yeah. But there's nothing that can replace the experience of sitting in a movie theater and looking at a screen that's 50 feet high, man. Having popcorn with your girl around, with your arm around your girl, man, you know, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, I think the streaming thing is cool, but it keeps people from going outside to the theater. I want to bring people back to the theater, man. But yeah, of course, you know, streaming, that's where the money is. It's distribution. You know, you a lot of cats doing that. But, you know, the pandemic, man, killed the movie theater industry, man, a little bit, man. It brought it down, and all these streaming services came out because of the pandemic. Now people don't even want to go to the theater anymore. I mean, some do, but a lot don't, because they can just sit here and turn on, get the remote going, and just watch whatever they want to watch. So I'm at the 30-minute mark here, and I'm going to go ahead and close this. I just wanted to give you guys an insight on who Norman Berry is and what Gypsy Boy Productions is all about and what Gypsy Boy Productions is intending to do in the future. So I just want to say thank you very much for tuning in. Um, you know, a lot of you are my friends on Facebook. Please subscribe to my channel. I will be posting some of my work from school as time goes so that I can lure in some potential people that may want to retain my cinematic talents for, you know, weddings, graduations, family reunions, music videos, um, audition reels, demo reels. Gypsy Boy Productions is where it's at, okay? And I'm going to do that for you guys. Gypsy Boy Productions is going to deliver the goods, man. So with that being said, this is Norman Berry signing off, man. Thank you for tuning in. Blessings to you all, and stay beautiful.